Welcome, Sarah. So nice to have you here on the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for the invitation. I'm excited to be here.
Now, for those of you who may not know who you are, which is probably a lot of the audience here today, if they haven't already kind of deep dived you in the show notes, could you just please give everybody a little bit of an intro to who you are, what you do, and how you've landed in your current business model as it is today?
Hi, so I'm Sarah Morgan. I am a portrait and brand photographer in San Diego, California. And I've done every type of genre in photography except for commercial and fashion. But I started out as a wedding photographer because I loved weddings. I was going to all my friends' weddings. I was looking at what the photographers were doing. And of course, I'm old, so this was back in the 80s. And I was always saying, why is that photographer over there? He should be over there. And what's he doing? Why is he behind what's going on? And one of my friends said to me one day, if you're so good at this, why don't you do it? And I thought, well, maybe I will. And just circumstances came about that I ended up buying a big fancy camera and I ended up interning with a local photographer and became a wedding photographer. And so that's how I got my start. And then after moving to San Diego I grew up in New England. So I was in Maine, moved to San Diego in '03 and found out the wedding market wasn't as fun out here. Finally met the bridezillas. And then just from there went into families, which brought me to newborns, which I really loved. And I did that until my back kind of gave out. But all along the way, I always liked working with businesses and business people and doing headshots. And then when branding came about because of social media, I thought, oh, this is perfect. This gets me back to storytelling.
Yeah,
So I love
great
it.
stuff. So, can I just understand then, you have had your own business since how long? When did you start it?
So I opened my studio in 1997 in Kennebunkport, Maine, but I had worked for other photographers. I had three jobs at one time, working for a clothing store, working for a photographer, and working a full-time job at baking. So I started as a professional photographer in the late 80s, working weddings for somebody else, going out for $100. I'd go and photograph a whole wedding, and I was just a happy little clam.
Wow, that's some history. So I have so many questions here. So, okay, so you start your own studio in 1997, and you're doing weddings then, I'm guessing, are you? Or are you doing
Yes.
families and other things as well at that
I'm
stage?
doing mostly weddings, mostly weddings. And then as I got to know people and I got introduced to the community, I would get asked to do families. I lived on the coast of Maine, so we had great sunsets and great beaches. So I would get asked. So I started doing a few families and then I got into a lot of high school seniors. And I really like doing the high school seniors because they're adventurous and they'll go in. Let's go to the airport. Let's go to an antique store. I mean, they had great ideas. So it
Yeah,
was
right.
very fun.
We don't have that culture in Australia, the high school senior market. It just doesn't exist. And I'm not sure that
Yeah.
it exists out of many places
The
out
States,
of the
probably.
US. Yeah, I think that's sort of like the maybe Northern Europe, Northern American bubble is kind of like that thing. But I actually think it's a really good thing because I find that a lot of the time with my clients, they might have had like a wedding photo shoot. That's probably the first time they get photographed, and maybe then they have like a a baby shoot and maybe their family. But particularly for the women that I photograph, a lot of the time they've never ever had a solo shoot. It's always been a shared experience. Whereas that senior market kind of introduces people to the concept of it's okay for it to be all about you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I like when the college seniors want to do photo shoots. It's great for the high school seniors, but they're still kind of in that awkward stage. They really don't know who they are, who they want to be, what they want to do. They're still got their acne going, and the boys, their voices are still changing, and all that stuff. And so it's like, it's kind of an awkward phase. I don't know why high school seniors that became the point to get a photograph. Like if I can talk to a college student, I'm like, when you become a college senior, that's when I want you to come do senior portraits because you're more sophisticated. You've got a sense of style. They just they know who they are a lot more than 4 years or even 2 years prior.
100%. But do you know what? At that stage, then mum and dad have kind of financially washed their
They've
hands. So
cut them
who's going to
off.
pay for it?
Exactly. That is
I think back
true.
now and I think, oh my gosh, I wish I'm like literally going back to myself post college, maybe like 6 months or 12 months after graduating, when I did get like like a bit of money back again, because I think I was a bit like maybe smelly and during acting
Right.
school.
Still eating
But
ramen.
yeah, yeah. So I think maybe like 6 to 12 months out of there, I was probably at my peak. I 100% wish I had a proper photo shoot. And funny enough, I was an actor, like, so I had like a couple of
Oh,
headshots, but I didn't really do anything creative. So I think there's a great market for that if you can just get the right person to
I
pay
know.
for
I
it.
think we need to market that somehow.
So, of course, over the gamut of your career, you've obviously seen so many changes, and I'm sure in your business you had to navigate so many different industry changes. What would you say is the biggest storm that you've weathered? I'm just like really curious to know, like, what's the biggest thing you think
So
you've
like
overcome in your business? Yeah.
like a hardship kind of storm, you mean? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think probably the biggest one was during our recession here in the States
Yeah.
in 2008 till it lasted until 2010, 2011, and people just really pulled back. And it was really, that really challenged me to market. And it was like, was social media even beginning then? I'm not even sure. Like it was really challenging.
I think around 2009 was when I first started dabbling with Facebook, but I don't think Instagram had
Right.
really come into its own until about
Yeah,
2010,
so
11.
just meeting people. I was out doing all the things I said I wasn't going to do anymore, street fairs, like all the things. We had to like really get back out there and promise the world. We were giving away photo shoots. It was a really tough time. The funnest challenge I had was probably going from film to digital.
Yeah.
I fought it for a little bit, but then I was still back in New England and I had a bunch of Canadian friends, all these guys, and they were so like, I'm all about the feels and the perfect moment when the bride touches her dad's face. And they're like, look at this new camera I got and all this new technology. And so I was kind of always listening to them. I was always riding in vehicles with them because we'd all kind of meet up and go to all these meetings. And they were talking about the digital. And I was like, what is that? And I was kind of afraid of it because I wasn't very tech savvy at the time. So I started taking Photoshop. I've been taking Photoshop classes since like 1995, maybe 96. But when this started really coming into play, I was like, okay, I need to go get a digital camera. And the just I would say I was technically a better photographer with film because I could look at light and I knew what my settings would be. But I'm a more creative photographer with digital, which is a lot more fun.
Yeah,
So that
obviously.
was the
I mean, it doesn't
one
cost you every
challenge.
time you click, right? Or maybe it costs you in time afterwards with having to
It
go through the
cost me in
images.
time, yeah, because
Yeah,
yeah,
we
I
were
spend a lot of
much more
time on it.
economical back in the days of film, weren't we?
Oh yes, it was like we're gonna wait for that perfect minute, that perfect moment instead of just shotgunning.
I often think though those of us who have come from film maybe have a little bit of an advantage in that way because I think you would have had the same season as I did where we went from like, shooting maybe, 2 to 300 clicks on a camera for a wedding to 3,500 overnight. You just went, you know, but I think
Yes,
that it was easy enough for me to become economical again. Like, after a couple of years of having to go through one by one all of the photos, I was like, this doesn't work. This is giving me too much work at the other end. I'm going to come back down again now. And we've already got that timing in us that we understand when that moment is going to happen, that
yes.
preemptive kind of thing, right?
If you think about it more, like when I actually switched to digital, I did wait until I moved to San Diego to switch to digital. So I shot weddings all through the late 80s, 90s, started my business in 97, primarily weddings. I shot all those weddings on film, which I mean, that talk about flying by the seat of your pants. I had my lab call me one time and they were like, Sarah, one whole roll of film is blank. And I'm like, what's on it? And they're like, it's blank. So we don't know. Luckily, it was just the cake cutting, and the videographer was able to cover me. And I had taken photos before the cake cutting of the bride and groom next to the cake, and they were fine. But Yeah, I think one year I went through the shotgunning the weddings, and then I thought, this is ridiculous, the culling. And half of my brides were saying, oh my God, this is way too many pictures. I don't even want to look through all these. So after I heard that a couple of times, I reeled back in and just thought, it's the same kind of camera. Just think of it as a film camera. I'm just not changing film every 36 shots.
I think it's really interesting what you've brought up, though. The two biggest sort of changes or challenges that you've had in your business are really similar to exactly what's going on right now in the market, right? We are not
Exactly.
in a R word, but we are definitely coming through a different financial climate than what it's been over the last, it's been quite abundant through COVID and all of that. Even though everything shut down, there was that sort of like little upswell afterwards. And also, too, the changes that are happening with the introduction of AI technology, right? So I feel like we're kind of dealing with both of those things at the same time right now in the market. Do you
All
agree?
again. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 What's it been? It was 2008. Now it's 2024. So yeah, it's right on time.
Yeah,
It's about
exactly,
every
right? Yeah.
every 20 years. Yeah, it
And how
seems.
many times have you heard the words, "The photography industry is dying, photography is
Oh,
gone"? Like, I feel like
it
I
was
hear it
dying
every
with
single year.
digital for sure. Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Like, we've heard it over and over. So, if you're kind of newish, please take it from us old gals here that have been around for a while. Photography is still here to stay. It's just going to change, and it's exciting, right? Like, about what's
yeah.
coming up and what's new.
I actually like the change because now it's really more about the experience you provide. Because I mean, a lot of people are taking great pictures with their phones. So if you're not providing a really great experience, you're not going to make it. So I think it actually benefits the clients a lot more with all this new technology and everything that's coming around. They get a
I
better experience.
I 100% agree. I remember when I was coming up, my dad sent me out with this wedding photographer who was multi award winning and amazing, like a creative genius. But he was a real asshole. Like he was not kind to the clients and he almost acted like it was a privilege for them to be working with him. So now the onus is sort of, like, of course, we're creatives and what we do is important, but ultimately the client is the important one, right? Like we're working for them and we want to make sure they have a good experience. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. Can I
Yeah.
just ask you, like, in terms of like personal branding as a genre, what was the thing that kind of like first attracted you to it? And when did it first sort of hit your radar? And when did you sort of like decide to step in?
When did it hit my radar? So, I've studied with Sue Bryce for years. So that's probably where I first heard about it. And the minute it hit my radar, I was in love with it because I'm a storyteller. That's what I loved about weddings was just finding the perfect moments to photograph so that when the bride looked through their album a year, 2 years, 5 years later, they felt like they were brought right back there. And that's storytelling. So I felt like, wow, this is kind of a cool genre because I'm not telling a story about love or a couple, but I'm telling the story about a business and who they are, what they represent, what they do, and coming up with creative ideas to photograph a coach or a hairstylist or a mechanic. So it's actually brings me right back to my wedding roots in a way, only just kind of a different story.
It's so interesting, right? Because as you've said that, I've literally just gone, do you know how often, and you know this, and any wedding photographer listening to this knows this, when you're shooting a wedding, 80% of the story is given to you 90% of the time, right? Like 100% of the time. And sometimes you get 100% of the story in front of you and you don't have to find the moments. But a lot of the time on weddings, you actually have to create the moments, right? You have to create the intimacy between the couple if it's not naturally there. You have to bring the stories together. You have to make the happy family. You sometimes you are responsible for creating enhancing, I want to say, but often it is
Enhancing,
creating
yeah,
the actual story, right? I feel like personal
yeah.
branding is the next progression from that because a lot of the time I find in this sector, because a lot of our clients, right, are not working with PR agencies or anything that can kind of like craft their brand story. So I feel like this is just us going from that model where we were given 80% of the story. I feel like here I'm always given about 60% of the story and I have to come up with the rest of it or and I think what I love about it the most is that I get to be part of the creation of the story. Whereas weddings, you're told, here, go here, this is the thing. Maybe you get to choose the park, but that's about it.
Right.
Whereas I
Yes.
think this has got so much more involvement. Have you found the same thing, or am I out of here on
Yeah,
my own?
it's a lot more freedom, and we if we screw something up, we get to reshoot it. I had a shoot that went south so fast. I had this beautiful client. She's an editor, and we were going to this club here in town, and it's like a business club, and it's at the top of this building, and it's got beautiful views of downtown San Diego, and everybody likes this club. We She had reserved a specific room. We get there, and we are put in this wine cellar. So picture dark,
Dark.
orange light, small, nothing to do with her brand. She had requested a room on the corner with bookcases in the background. So I get there first and I'm like, oh boy, how is this going to work? I go up to the girl, I go, we're supposed to be in the library. And she says, oh no, we rented that out. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. So I wait till the client gets there. She starts chatting with the receptionist. Well, it's rented out. There's nothing I can do. Get your supervisor. Now my poor client's gone into makeup in an empty ballroom that now is what we're going to have to use, crying. And I'm thinking, oh boy, I've got to take control of this situation before she really loses it. So I grabbed, the woman basically was saying, no, we didn't promise you the room. It was going south. I grabbed the employee of the club and I grabbed her, marched her off. And I'm like, listen, this is happening. We have 5 people here. It was all scheduled. One of your employees promised us the room. Can we use this ballroom? We can't be in the wine cellar. And we made it work. But dang, it can go crazy really fast. And luckily, my client talked to somebody higher up at the university, at the club, and they allowed her a second shoot. And so we were able to just go back in and reshoot. A wedding, if something like that had gone wrong with a wedding, what do you do? It's just craziness. So I like that, being able to just change it up if you have to.
Yeah, and I'm always doing that sort of thing. Like I've had similar sort of instances where one girl, the weather just wasn't playing in, and she had this gorgeous red hair, and the whole shoot and everything that we'd planned for was backlight. Like light up her red hair, and I couldn't for the life of me. I found one patch of sun at one stage of the day and got her on the ground, on the grass, and everything. And when we were sitting down there together, I got one photo, and then the sun just went out again, and it was gone. It was gone for the day. And I just said to her when we were down, sitting down on the grass together, I said, I'm going to be really honest with you. The light just isn't doing anything that I want to do. And this girl is flown from Perth. So it was basically like flying from New York to LA to come to have
Oh,
this photo shoot with me, right?
no.
So I'm sitting down like this on the ground with her, and I'm like, how are you in the mornings? And she goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I would be very happy to wake up at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning and finish off this photo shoot. I've checked the weather map already when I was in the car, and the sun is going to be coming up. I don't want to dishevel the rest of your shoot, but I just telling you now, as a professional, I'm not going to get what I want. Are we on board? And she went, are you sure you can do that for me? That is so. And I was like, I totally can. And I
The
really want to.
experience.
And it felt so good because I was like, and it takes a while to exercise that muscle, right? Because you're so used and conditioned that everything has to happen within a certain plan and everything like that. And it's totally
Yes.
okay that things change, right? I'll tell you another story actually. So this week we're right now in Australia. We've just had it, like where I am, it's kind of, we're coming to summer season. So it just rains and pours and it's dark and everything like that. And I was due to have a photo shoot yesterday. And 2 days before that, I saw that it was going to be raining in the morning, but I knew it would be unpredictable in the afternoon. Anyway, I said to the woman, I said, look, just going to let you know that this might be a thing. And she said, look, I said, ideally, I said, most of the shoot was inside, but there was a portion outside. I said, look, I just want to see if you have any wiggle room in the tank. And you know what happened is we've changed the shoot. She said, look, I'm just going to call it. We've changed the shoot. She's got an upgrade on the hotel room that she was going to go into. She can get a better time slot for the location that we were going to go to. And something else, she's got a friend in business that can now come along for the photo shoot and step in that couldn't come the other way. So it's kind of like the universe for me always kind of like makes up for it too, right? When you have those sorts of things that go wrong. Whereas on weddings, I
Exactly.
feel like you just have to deal with whatever they give you.
Exactly. Even with my client, we got images. It was actually kind of a blessing in disguise, that first photo shoot, because we got very corporate images. Because literally, all I had to work with was an empty room, some round tables with black tablecloths on them, and giant windows with the skyline of San Diego below us. So and she wanted it very corporate. She was like, I really want a desk, I want a conference table. And I'm like, this is what we've got. This is what we're using. I put her in front of the tables or in front of the windows, San Diego laid out below her. The images were so corporate. The way I cropped the images, you couldn't really tell that it was a cocktail table, that luckily they had their computers. And those images, the second shoot was amazing as well because it was in the library with the books and the everything she wanted, the conference table. But those first images are probably the ones that landed her a huge contract with our National Football League.
Wow.
So you've got to roll with it. You just got to do the best that you can do with what you've got to work for. It pushes your creative muscles. Like you're kind of sore the next day because you worked out, but you kind of
Can,
feel like, yeah, I managed it.
can I dig into that a little bit? So your images alongside of other stuff though, obviously, like whatever she
Absolutely,
was
yeah.
doing. But so did she give you that feedback? I'd love to just for everyone listening understand how you understand that. Is it just that you positioned her differently, the way the visual aesthetic was different to what she thought it was going to be, or
Well, the rooms were totally different from the two shoots. Like the one corner room had beautiful soft light. The whole room was filled with light. It had great places that I could place her other than a window. The first shoot, I literally only had the windows in the skyline. So those pictures, placed her in front of the window, a little bit of backlighting coming in, lit her from the front with a strobe that I had brought, and tried to make it very light and bright, which is kind of like our aesthetic, yours as well. We like our light bright photos. And when she used those on her website, and she did incorporate them with the second shoot, just the way she wrote her website and she used the images, it looks so professional. Like the images just really, we did a lot of work, especially getting a second shoot. I was like, are there any images you wished we had gotten that we didn't get? So we had a really great checklist. She was more comfortable the second time. Of course, she wasn't crying because of the room situation. She knew what to expect. So I think the combination of the two photo shoots, her wording, because she's an editor, she's a writer, her website's amazing. So I just think it was everything. She has a podcast, she writes books, so she's just really well positioned. But for a large company in New York City to find her little company here in San Diego is pretty dang amazing. And I asked her, I was like, how did they find you? And she's like, they Googled me. They loved the website. They said we looked friendly, professional. And I'm like, well, there you go.
I think that goes down to why the value of personal branding, right? Because I often think like, here's the thing is big city saw her and saw big city because of the
Yes,
images that you took. And that is a realistic thing, right? As soon as they landed on the site. Now, if she had some honky tonk or if she had the blue gel background, like a lot of other people, big city would have looked at her and gone, a bit too whatever provincial, or I don't know. I'm not saying that as an
right.
insult. I'm just saying like they might have viewed her slightly different. And here's the thing, how she viewed herself was probably not big city, but your photos allowed her to step up into that too, right?
She wanted to portray that. I mean, San Diego is a big city. We're
Oh, I
three and a
understand.
half.
Sorry, when I say
So
that, I don't
yeah,
mean to poo-poo.
no, I know. But I totally get it. Like my nutritional coach, I don't want her to look big city because she wants to work with people more local and more down to earth. But for this shoot, we did want her to look big city. So that's why I was like, after we got her calmed down, we got her makeup on, and I'm like, this is what we've got to work with. I said to her, this isn't that bad. because you want to look big city, you want to look corporate. This is going to look corporate. This is going to look big city. And luckily, she brought enough changes of outfits that we were in. Her husband was there. Her sister, who worked for her, was there. So we were able to, incorporate some of them working together, pointing at the computer. Yeah, they weren't at a conference table. They weren't at the desk. It wasn't perfect according to our plan, but it worked. It really worked. And even when I sent her the pictures, I knew she was kind of apprehensive when she left. She's like, well, let me know if we didn't get anything. And I'm like, yeah, I will. If we have to, we'll redo it, whatever. When I got home and uploaded the pictures, I was like, no, I think these are gonna be actually, when I crop out that round table, no one's gonna really look at the table because they look so dynamic working with each other. So,
Mm.
and they actually, I emailed her or texted her right off and said, I think these images, you're going to like them.
I think this is a testament to you and a testament to your confidence and also a testament to your skills to be able to turn that around, right?
I was
Like,
sweating bricks. I was
of
sweating bricks, but that woman made me mad. I wasn't going to let her. I'm like, she was really kind of coming at my client, saying, kind of accusing her of lying. And I'm like, oh boy, oh no, you are not. Come on, we're going to make this freaking work. So I dragged her around the club and I was like, where can we use? But there was a restaurant. There were people in the restaurant. I was like, that's out. We're not definitely not using the wine room. But as you look, I mean, yeah, I've been in this business 27 years. I've hit a bunch of little obstacles. My mind still goes blank. Like at that moment, I was full on sweating, asking for bottles of water, like getting in my head going, oh my God, I have to make this work. What the hell am I going to do? But yeah, I just think you've just got to get creative and you've just got to look at the spaces, look at your shot list. Heck, we make a white table and a wall work. So we can do this.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that for you to be able to pull this back, and I mean, I know that you and I've talked about this a lot and you've touched on it a little bit. I know that getting that connection with a client is really important. So, like, you obviously had the client's trust before the shoot day to be able to bring that back as well, right? So, what are you doing to be able to kind of create that connection with them and that sort of, like to be able to cocoon them a little bit before the photo shoot experience in order for them to arrive and feel comfortable with you enough that if you navigate and make a change, that they feel confident, yep, she's got this.
Yeah. Well, the first thing, I have streamlined it since the academy, I will say, but I used to have a 2 hour, like with this client, I think it was a 2 hour Zoom call. And I have a long list of questions and I make them think. I mean, a lot of people don't know what their brand is. They have one, they think it's their logo and their colors and their font and that stuff. But how are you incorporating your face in your brand and your personality and your spirit and the spirit of your business? So I went through this big questionnaire with her and we dive really deep and it's really fun. I see them kind of going, yeah, that's who I am. I drill down at the end. I go, okay, give me 3 words that represent your business, you and your business. And by then they can tell me those 3 words. And I'm like, yeah, perfect. That's what we need. We're going to think of those 3 words your entire shoot. Then from there, I make a vision board. I ask them to send me 5 to 10 images. Some people send me 10, 20. Some people send me 0. Some people send me 3 or 4. But I make them go onto Pinterest or Instagram and just pick pictures that speak to them. Is it the lighting? Is it the pose that you like? Is it the clothing? And then I go and I do an inspiration board and send that. I put them all on one page for them and send them out to them. And I say, any that you don't like, just cross them off, send it back to me. And it kind of gives them the confidence. She gets me because I really like the poses or I like the background or the lighting that she's sending me. So they get to know me just as much as I get to know them. Then some of them, we have a wardrobe consultation again on Zoom. If they're really nervous, I will offer that because nobody wants a client coming in just terrified.
Mm,
And it's all
mm.
planning. I always tell them it's the planning, you get the planning down, you're going to come to the shoot. Yeah, there'll be a few nerves, but you're prepared. You're ready to go. Like you've got it. And you know I've got it. So I think for Nadia, this client, I think when I dragged that woman away from her was when she realized, okay, Sarah's got it. And when that woman came back in with waters and sodas and, oh, anything that you want, and her demeanor had totally changed, that's when Nadia calmed down and was like, okay. And luckily, I have a really great makeup artist too. Shout out to Debbie Miller because she's my little Caribbean goddess that just helped calm the client down as well because it was rough going there for a little bit, but
Mm.
yeah,
But look at that experience that you've created for the client. And this is where I really think that the world of branding is going into. Obviously, you've got, like you can get one and done sort of like headshot sort of style of things. But this is where I've been,
absolutely.
I'm all about this too. Like, it's like, how much can we can create an experience for our clients? Because they will pay top dollar for that. Because listen,
Yeah,
guys, to all the touch points that Sarah's just talked about and the team and the whole group together, the whole group dynamic of bringing and that importance for that one person that they know that everybody's got their back. We're all here for the same cause, right? I love this about the branding
absolutely.
world. Yeah.
And even now, after going through the academy and streamlining and automating, which I never thought I would ever have to do, but I absolutely love. Now there's even more touch points. I send them a PDF that says, are you concerned about your wardrobe? Think of these things, and it gives them tips. I think they get like 3 PDFs and they get questionnaires, and it's so much easier now. And I am always, even if we're planning out a month ahead of time, and maybe we have to do all this because they're traveling, and then when they get back, we're doing their shoot. I'm still in contact with them and they know I'm there. They can always send me a question and I'm always going to answer. So yeah, it's definitely the experience is the best part of it all for both of us.
Great stuff. Can I just real shortly, I'm just going to just touch on it, and if it feels uncomfortable you can say I don't want to go there. But when you first started doing branding, did you struggle to price it coming that you'd come from the wedding world where things are up front? Like how did you sort of structure things in the early days, and where have you come to now with the kind of the packaging and pricing side of things?
I think I was lucky because I had been a wedding photographer and I found wedding photography really easy to price. I looked around in my neighborhood. So the first few years I did the shoot and burn, the not really the shoot and burn, but shoot and give them all the prints kind of thing. And to get experience, to get my portfolio, to get my name out there. But once I had already worked with I interned with the other photographer, and I had done, I think, one season in Kennebunkport, which is basically just the summer, a few months because we have the snow. But that next year, I was like, okay, I don't want those clients. I want year end clients. So I looked at pricing in my area. I knew I was doing the same thing. I'm like, I'm going to go almost to the top. I just priced myself high. And literally, I booked up every summer after that. So I had that confidence. Now, I did have that dip during our recession, was when I started second guessing. And I had gotten out of the wedding industry. I did not like it so much out here. I was doing families, which I thought that was harder to price, honestly. When I got into branding, I had been doing newborn and I had packages. So it was pretty easy to slip into the packages. I had the headshot experience. I knew I could do the branding. So I had the confidence. So it was a little easier for me to start at a little bit higher price point and to just go right into the packages. If I didn't have that experience behind me, I probably would have done what most photographers do and start really low, which I don't advise. If you have the confidence and you understand your worth, maybe do some self-value classes before you do your pricing so that you understand your worth. Then do your pricing. I think that would be a better way to go than doing the low prices and giving it away. It's really hard to step from that low price once you've done it for a few years and then go up. Maybe a year, do the low price and then go right up.
I
That
agree.
would
I
be my
100% agree.
advice.
I spent years kind of coming back from, I started high because I bought the business and it was doing
Oh,
this.
yeah.
And then because I wasn't my dad, I was like, oh, I have to drop the prices. And then I spent years getting back up to that same point again. And like, it takes like your confidence can only work at 15 to 20% increments. You can't double your prices
Mm,
overnight and instantly up level to there unless you do, you go to school, you go and educate yourself, you go and level up in the
mhm.
areas that you know that you're sort of like falling
Yeah,
short in, I guess, is the kind of the thing, which
yeah.
probably nicely segues to why is it that you felt a year ago that it was a good time to come and learn with me inside of
I know
Academy?
after
I've always been curious about this. So I
people ask me that because I'm always like, oh, I can't go do this because I'm doing a class, or I can't go do that because I'm doing a class. And honestly, I'm tired of learning stuff. I can say that at this age, I'm like kind of done. But if you're in business, you have to keep learning. I'm getting older. I don't want to learn new programs. I had to take your class in order to get myself to automate. I kept thinking, I'm a boutique business. I'm only doing maybe at the most 10 shoots a month. I can handle that. I've got my cell phone. I'll just put reminders in there. It wasn't even until I started the class and we did the automation part. And the automation, I have to say, is probably what landed me like, you're spending this money and you're taking this class. And when we did the automation and like the first few clients came through, and I was kind of freaked out because I'm like, oh, I don't have a reminder. Did I send them a text? And then I looked and I'm like, oh yeah, it all went out. And now I'm just like, oh my God, how did I ever deal? Like literally, it probably saves me, I would say safely 10 hours a week. Probably 10 hours a week, the automation is saving me because I'm not recreating the wheel. I'm not rewriting every email, which I was doing, which is, yeah, it's great custom service, but it's not great customer service because they don't know. They've never gotten an email before. And so it was just so time consuming. So I guess I'm a learner. I don't want to fall behind. If I'm going to stay in business, I want to stay at a level that I want to be at.
I love this because I was trying to talk to a photographer this week about it, and she said, exactly you. She's like, I'm boutique and everything like that. And I was like, yeah, but just imagine that instead of when you're on a phone call to somebody, instead of it taking you 3 days to follow up with them, you can easily press a button and the follow up happens within a half an hour. And then you've got the bandwidth to go and focus 100% on your photo shoot that day, not thinking, at the end of tonight now, I must go and email that client. I must go and do that quote. I must go and do that thing. And it's just those little incidental things, right, that it takes off your plate that I hate. I personally, when I write automations into things, into emails and say, you'll get all your automations done, I hate it because I'm like, this is the worst thing. No creative wants to think like this. But man, it's kind of like outside of that, it's just such a game
Oh my
changer, right?
God. I am loving it. And I did not think I would like it at all. And at first I would double check. Did the email go out? Did they get the PDF? It's great. I see they opened it's in fact, it saved my butt a couple times because I had a client who didn't want to pay me because she said I hadn't sent her invoices and all this. And I'm like, oh, would you like a picture of that? So, it's great backup. It's just, I mean, it was worth the price of the class, that just that. But just to have you holding my hand, helping with I'm not a writer. I don't like writing. Maybe that's why I like when I click that last thing on the workflow and I'm like, woo, I am just like, party. That's like, yes, you're like, oh, I want to write some more. I'm done with it. I don't want to write. So having you have templates and making us do the work during the class was the best.
Oh,
That was
that's so
the
nice to hear.
best.
Great stuff. So I guess here's the thing is that what other things have you gotten out of the academy experience? And I'm just actually asking this out of curiosity because I know that you've sent me emails over the time and you're like, man, this class was so good. What other things have you been able to achieve
Oh
that you
my
didn't
God.
think you could this year?
Well, the social media, you've got me liking the social media a little bit more than I'm into like and out of hate. So that's really good. You've given me processes for that, which has really helped. I loved the landing page, although right now I'm using that like 50% just because of some other programs I need to get going. But I'm still marketing it, just not as automatically as I would like. And I think I am going to try to do a mini probably in November, maybe the beginning of December. I may do a mini brand shoe at my studio, just something simple, just to get people through the door that, the ones that are like, I need a little more than a headshot, but I don't need a full brand. I don't want to spend all that money. I don't need 25 images or 50 images or 100 images. They think, ha ha ha, until they have 10 and then they want 25.
Exactly. I think that's why I discovered it too, because I was like, you can have this, which is just a headshot, or you can have this, which is a half day shoot. And that's why I just like kind of made up those mini shoots for myself because I just needed that in between. And I needed to scoop up that bit of the market that I was missing out on, where everybody was probably thinking, someday I'll have Paula, but I'll go to this photographer just now because that's what I can afford.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And a lot of the time, I think on those mini shoots, I'm probably still able to give people more than what the other photographer can give them in half a day shoot or whatever because of my skill set, right? And I can just go, this
Right.
is your entry level. And as you say, you think you're spending this much, but maybe once you see the images, you'll end up spending that much anyway. I'll just make it
Exactly.
easier for you to make that transition.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I want
Great.
to do a social session day, but I want to do a mini first so I know that I've got my timing and everything set up. But I just saw on Facebook or Instagram a home very local to me that is looks pretty gorgeous. I'm going to try to get in and take a peek at it. I actually have two spaces that I'd like to use for a mini day or a social session day. So I wanted, that's why I was like, I think I want to do a mini at the studio just to get all my ducks in a row, make sure all the automation is working because I still don't trust it 100%, although I'm at like 99 now.
Even though it
So
hasn't let you down yet.
it hasn't let me down and saved my back, so yeah, yeah, even
That's
though
so funny.
hey, I got 26 years of doing it myself, girl, plus, so it's
So we
hard to teach the old dog new tricks.
looking at the full gamut of your career, I guess, what is it that you think personal branding is now delivering to your life that perhaps you weren't getting from your business before? Like, I mean, you've obviously been through lots of things. You've decided to sort of park yourself here, and obviously you're still doing portraits as well. I don't want to say what is the why, but what is it that you find that out of, and I'm maybe looking at it from a lifestyle perspective too. What kind of has it been able, like, for you to be able to do in your life that you maybe perhaps weren't able to do in the past in other iterations of your business?
Well, I'm going to take it from when I started the newborns, actually. So before that, it was weddings, it was working weekends, it was, going and doing headshots wherever at in the evening. I even did dating photos for a while where we were down at the beach. Well, doing families, you're at the beach whenever the sun is setting, which can be 8 o'clock at night in our summertime. The sun sets at around 8. So, it's like it was always my schedule was all over the place. Now I'm working Monday through Friday for the most part. Every once in a while, I will allow a Saturday shoot if it's, something that I want to do. But I'm working Monday through Friday. My sessions are at 10 in the morning for the most part. Everybody starts at 10. And I did start that with the babies because that's when the light in the studio is the best. So I was just like, yeah, this is a really good time. The traffic has died down. It's easy to get to my studio. I get them out of there by 2. Traffic's picking up. We're out. And even if I go on location, we start someplace at 10 in the morning. I don't even really do much beach stuff anymore, which I love going to the beach, but the minute you get there and the wind blows, they're like, oh, my hair is blowing. And I'm like, you're at the beach. Hello. So I don't
Yeah.
have I have more control over
Mm.
everything. It's just, I don't know. I'm getting older. I don't want to be schlepping all my gear around all the time if I don't have to. I don't want to be on slippery rocks. I'm just like, I'll leave that to you youngins. You guys can have the rocks and the sunsets and the waves and the wind. Not that I don't. Like, if one of my past clients asks me for a photo shoot at the beach, I will be there. I will be there. But for new clients, I don't put it out there. I just do my in studio portraits for my ladies. I do my cancer survivorship series portraits, and I do my branding and headshots. And I love it. I'm working with mature people. I'm working with business people. Everyone's professional. Everyone's happy. Everyone has the same goal. It's just kismet. Perfect.
Oh, I feel like this is a perfect place for us to just wrap up the conversation now because what else do we need to say?
Exactly.
Personal branding is kismet. I love
It is. It's great. I love it. I think it's a really fun genre. You get to, like you said, you get to be creative when you hear the person's story about their business, and you automatically, I don't know if this happens to you, but I start seeing images, and I
it.
can do this for everybody else. I can't do it for my business, but I see images and I see stories like, oh, you can ask this or you can ask that. If we took a picture of you doing this, you can talk about this or that. And it's just, I don't know, it's just such a fun collaboration between us and the clients. Very creative. It's storytelling. It's all the good things.
100%, I agree with you. And I think the collaboration is something that I felt like I was probably missing out on in other versions of my business. Do you know?
Yeah, headshots you don't really need to collaborate on.
No.
Just come on in, smile,
And even
stand there,
sort
do
of
what I
like
tell
with
you.
even my family stuff, I didn't feel like I just, it was kind of like they'd turn up to the beach, they'd have the white and denim, and I just didn't really get much choice around that. And of course, you've got no choice around what a 2 or 3-year-old is going to do on the day, do you? So it's just
Or the
like whatever.
dog, the
Yeah.
two-year-old and the dog. Like, oh, great.
Great stuff. Well, I so appreciate you sharing so beautifully and wonderfully today, Sarah. And I really
Aw.
love, yeah, seeing where you've come to with tech this year.
Oh my God, it's been amazing. I mean, it's been the best years. I mean, I feel like my business advanced so much in this one year. I wish I had found you 10 years ago. I would have been flying. I mean, this year has just been amazing, leaps and bounds over last year with the writing things down, and the memory starts to go and things start falling through the cracks, and you never want that. You never want to drop the ball. So yeah, it's been amazing. I
Do you know what?
thank you so much for your
We still have
class.
another 3 months of it too. We're only we're
I'm
only
so
3
excited because what will I learn?
Good stuff. All right. Thank you, my darling. I'm going to pop a link into the chat so everyone can find you. And I'm actually going to ask you to share a link of that photo shoot, if that's okay, the one that we're talking about in the ballroom. I would love
Oh,
if you've got some images that you could share with everybody. I think everyone would love to see
I'll have
those.
to. I'll create a gallery of the two different shoots. We'll put
That
them
would
in
be
one
awesome.
gallery so you can see. I'll just do a sample.
And if it's okay with you, if it's okay with your client to share her website so we can see how your images work in action.
Oh yeah, I will check with her, but I'm sure she won't mind.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, well, thank you again. I look forward
Of
to seeing you in the next
course,
couple of
thank
weeks.
you. Awesome. Yes, you will. Thank you so much.